The tension in the Strait of Hormuz reached an irreversible threshold last night as the world's largest LNG, liquefied natural gas, facility, Qatar's Ras Laffan industrial city, was struck by ballistic missiles.
सामने तो गिरा और किधर गिरा इधर गिरा ओरे शाला अब यार पीछे से मार रहा है
In a direct retaliation for Israeli strikes on its own energy infrastructure, Iran targeted this massive hub, which accounts for roughly 20% of the global gas supply. Qatar's Ministry of Defense officially confirmed that while air defense systems intercepted most of the missiles, the warheads that hit caused massive fires and extensive damage to the facility. Those iconic orange flames lighting up the sky signify a darkening future not just for Qatar, but for global markets. This attack certifies the regime's resolve to cut the world's energy veins rather than just hitting military assets. Ras Laffan has become the site where the decades-old taboo against striking energy infrastructure was finally shattered. Iran's move has completely upended the delicate balance in the Gulf. Immediately following the attack, Qatar severed ties with Tehran, declaring Iranian diplomats and military attaches persona non grata. Qatar Energy reported that while efforts to contain the fires are ongoing, the Pearl GTL and several other LNG units have been rendered non-functional. This situation is more than a regional crisis. It represents a severed link in a global supply chain stretching from Europe to Asia. Tehran's operation is a form of kamikaze diplomacy, carrying the message: if our oil and gas are blocked, no one's energy will be safe. By targeting a country like Qatar, which had been striving to maintain neutrality, Iran has demonstrated that it no longer recognizes any strategic boundaries and is prepared to drag the entire Middle East into total darkness. The response from the White House following the strike on Qatar was less of an ultimatum and more of a declaration of total destruction. President Trump announced that for any subsequent attack on Qatari facilities, the U.S. would abandon the concept of proportional response and wipe Iran's most valuable energy resource, the South Pars gas field, off the map. Trump stated, "The U.S. knew nothing about Israel's attack on South Pars. They acted alone." But if Iran unwisely decides to hit an innocent nation like Qatar again, we will massively blow up the entirety of the South Pars gas field. This statement confirms that Washington now views Iran's economic existence as a legitimate target. On Trump's desk, a total destruction plan aimed at paralyzing Iran's entire oil and gas infrastructure is currently awaiting a final signature. Trump is simultaneously using the threat to protect energy fields as a lever against his allies. "We spend tens of billions protecting you, yet you won't even send a single ship to secure the energy lines," Trump said, accusing NATO allies of historic ingratitude. According to Trump, the energy security of countries that refuse to join the coalition or provide financial support is no longer an American problem. Declaring "clean up your own path," Trump explicitly stated that the U.S. Navy would only provide escorts for tankers belonging to nations loyal to the coalition. This situation spells disaster, particularly for Europe and Japan. By using the energy crisis as a disciplinary tool over allies, Trump has forced the Western alliance into a grim dilemma: either go to war with him or watch your economies freeze in the dark. The explosions at Ras Laffan triggered a seismic shock in the global financial system. Natural gas prices surged between 25% and 30% in a single day, marking one of the fastest climbs in history. Meanwhile, Brent crude approached the $115 mark, pushing the global economy into a stagflation spiral. This sudden shock has triggered not just higher prices at gas stations, but total production costs and food prices as well. From London to New York and Tokyo to Berlin, major stock indices have suffered sharp declines as investors flock to gold as a safe haven. This massive disruption in energy supply has completely paralyzed a global supply chain that was already fragile. The world is teetering on the edge of an economic collapse far deeper and more destructive than the oil crises of the 1970s. As the impact of the energy crisis echoed through financial corridors, the Bank of England, BOE, canceled a long-expected interest rate cut in an emergency meeting today, announcing instead that rates would remain on hold. The risk of inflation spiraling out of control due to the energy shock has cornered central banks. Money markets have begun pricing in rate hike scenarios rather than cuts for the coming months. This has ignited a recession fuse, increasing costs from mortgages to business loans. Furthermore, the Pentagon's request for an additional $200 billion to fund the war has pushed the strain on the American economy to its peak. Missiles are no longer just exploding in the Middle East. The devastation of a massive financial war is now being felt in the wallets, homes, and futures of ordinary citizens worldwide. While energy facilities burn on the outside, a historic vacuum of authority is being felt at the heart of Tehran. Israeli intelligence sources and leaked reports confirm that Mojtaba Khamenei, successor to his father Ali Khamenei, is an infunctional figure completely incapable of controlling the regime. Defense analyst Kobe Michael described the new supreme leader as a hollow entity, and Mojtaba's inability to appear in public or maintain control over the military has shattered his legitimacy. Since narrowly escaping assassination on February 28, Mojtaba has attempted to reach the public only through voice recordings and symbolic posters. This has led radical groups within the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC) to become autonomous warlords, leading to strategic blunders like the attack on Qatar. This infunctionality under Mojtaba Khamenei's leadership is causing the Iranian state machinery to lash out blindly, like a giant with a shattered skull. Trump has mocked the chaos in Tehran, stating, "It's not even clear if Mojtaba is alive or dead. This regime is finished." Reports indicate that factions within the regime are clashing, bureaucracy has collapsed, and civilian administration has been entirely swallowed by the military. Iran, which once shook the Middle East, is now reduced to a failing structure watching the destruction of its own energy infrastructure. The attack on Qatar, the global economic shock, and the shadow leadership of Mojtaba have pushed the war to a point of total destruction. The coming hours will either witness a world where energy is cut off entirely, or the final collapse of the regime. At the military report, we will continue to track every radar blip in the Hormuz and every burning gas field. The fate of the world is hidden within these smoke-filled hours. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and witness the largest energy war in history with us. Thank you, and stay strategic.